And where do the leaders come? Sisi tu hapa hivi, because we cannot keep on saying, oh, we don't want these people, but okay, who is going to come and replace them? So I want to hear today wale nyoko kwenye kiti, kama wanataka uninini wanataka, na pia kama wewe voter, what would you be looking forward in 2027? And of course, if earlier, if you what will you be voting for? So you can request the microphone and talk to me. And of course, Home Run PP is supported by you, the listener. I'll not stop saying that. If you like what I'm doing, of course, kuna tip line pale hivi ya kutusupport. Naona Aguko Huntington anatusalimia pale hivi. Wewe.
Social conversations, engaging topics on your phone anywhere. This is Home Run with PP.
Aguko wako ndani Ruiru area, niko kwa sasa. Thank you so much Aguko, salimia watu wa Ruiru. And of course, Home Run with PP inafurahia ukikuwa na sisi hapa hivi. I see Kemi is here with us. How are you doing, Kemi?
I'm good. Hi, PP. Long time.
Hi.
Mr. Kikura, you ni waongo. You know?
Utadanganywa ufike kwa ground ushangae.
Nitadanganywa, ni mwage pesa, ni waste time. You know, Wakenya, they keep choosing the same freaking people all the time. All the time. Even great leaders when you're gonna potential. If you try to come on the ground at Iwambie watu, have these great ideas. Kenyans don't give a damn about great ideas during elections. They're looking at who's giving them money or who's doing what for them, you know. But hawaangalii the long-term effects, and we're paying for it right now. So, Mr. Kikura, mi nataka tu you give me the opportunity to run hiyo Kenyatta Hospital. That's it. Munipatie hiyo opportunity. I help, you know, run the hospital the way it's supposed to be run, and maybe we can save some people. I don't care about no political. Nimekuja kukusalimia. Kwanza unajua pipi uko kwetu Nakuru. Why would I come run in Nakuru? Please niache.
Sai Nakuru sidhani kama kuna female leader yenye atapewa kiti for some time, because huyu amechoma kibanda yote bwana.
Amechoma, alafu sisi si watu wa mlima na wina aje Nakuru. Tena your quality of Kikuyu. That's it.
Na unajua hiyo ndio kitu fani. Na sasa kama sisi home Njoro, we are on the border of the Kalenjin and the Kikuyu hapo katikati. So unaweza imagine tu. Tunakaziwa maisha mbaya sana. Yeah.
Wacha tukae chini, we respect ourselves and watch and go vote and educate. By the way, you're doing an amazing job like always. I'm very proud of you. Hii nini yako imetoka mbali, you know, from day one tumekuwa hapa, but you've done well. Great job.
Asante sana Kemi for that. And of course, tuko hapa bado tunaendelea na safari. Mimi niliamua kwa sina uwezo ya kuenda kuangalia hizo projects zenye ziko unfinished, but I know I have the talent to speak to people, so I'm going to use my platform to educate, of course, during this time you know, ya watu kuelimishana. We need to have medium, and I realize that we are Home Run with PP is listened to across the country. Somebody was telling me that Home Run with PP ilikuwa inaongelewa in a local somewhere in Makueni. I'm like, okay, sawa basi. But yes, let's keep on growing. Pole Drivo will be bigger, and of course, I'm also on YouTube now, so subscribe to HRWP YouTube channel for more videos. Of course, we are getting into videos. I have like 2 more videos coming up today or tomorrow. I'll be uploading another video featuring me and Kina Obeds Oriko, so you guys need to check that out as well. I see Edwin is here with us. Thank you so much, Kemi, for opening the mic. Edwin, habari yako?
Pipi, habari ya kushinda?
Mzuri kabisa, labda yako?
Yangu mimi niko salama, nashukuru. By the way, there was a time nilikuwa in Kampala. By the way, there were some guys who were discussing about you the same way Kemi amesema tu hapo. So you are a brand, you are a big thing. Naona sasa itabidi usimame sasa tukuchague kabla tuja kuimpeach. So Pipi, Hii mambo na leadership, unajua leadership, it is not all everyone who can be a leader. Leadership ni kitu yenye maybe sometimes unapata zingine ni za lineage ya familia, zingine ni za kujijenga, za kujitengenezea kama kina Salasia, kina Paul Mwirigi. But then the question here is after umeshapata hii opportunity ya becoming one of the leaders in this country, ni nini yenye unafanya na hiyo leadership? Unajua sasa hapo ndio penye sasa kuna na question mark. But all in all, leadership inategemea. But as for me, wacha sisi tupigie tu kelele huko hivi nje bwana. Sisi tunaogopa huko ndani. Yeye tunaweza simama hiyo criticism tutawezana nayo kweli pipi? Sisi wacha tu tupige kelele huko nje.
Yani wewe unaogopa unaogopa kupigwa maneno?
Siogopi pipi. Me I'm good. Me I'm good. I do have shock absorbers bana. Mimi nita absorb to anything. Lakini ni ile okay, mimi najijua mimi am so radical. So najua nikienda huko labda wanaweza nifanyia ile kitu walifanyia huko. Sasa wacha tu nikae huko nje nipigie kelele huko.
Unaichapa from a distance na kuelewa na kupata. So leo ni kama niko na, lakini wewe unataka watu wa kuongoze. What will be looking for ukienda kupiga kura in 2027?
2027, as of now, let me just be clear. I'm not sure if I'll vote. I'm not sure. Let me not lie to you. Sidani. Yani, I'm among those people when you alisha lose hope kwa kuvote. Unless otherwise, sioni. But wacha tu, with the time, maybe.
Bro, mimi huwezi kuja kwa show yangu useme huwezi vote. Unasikia? Wewe na wale wenye wanavotea Ruto ni same. Shika hii na urudie tena kutuambia kitu kama hiyo kwa show. Umesikia Edwin? You area ndo vote hiyo Ruto direct. Hakuna kitu kama hiyo kwa issue. Everybody must vote. Hiyo ndo heri uende uvote hiyo Ruto.
Unajua shida ni
usituambie bwana.
Shida ni kwamba unajua some of us we've been here and we do understand the kind of game that is being played, and unaona hiyo disappointment each and every time, and then ikishafikia time kama saa hizi hivi unaona the way things are, you kind of ask yourself, yani sasa hii kura yangu irudi tena initese. But okay, siwezi sema sitaki watu wa vote because mimi nimekwambia bado sija decide, but niko 50-50. I am not sure, but ikielekea hapo hivyo nita make mind yangu. But venye hii nini natupeleka venye tuna discuss hapa, at least niko na hiyo hope, because the moment I listen to some people discussing a lot of things, like yesterday kuna huyu jamaa huyu anaitwa nani Mariboro ama sijui somebody like that, unaona the way alikuwa anaeleza vitu zingine, so sometimes you just listen to them and kind of zina ku encourage. So siwezi sema ati nimetoka kichwa changu kabisa, because with time, acha tuone tu with time.
Okay, haya, wacha tusikia wengine wanasema. Naona Kemi kwa rebuttal. Kemi, what do you want to say before I go to Boni then Gunia?
Edwin anyoroshwe tena because wewe Edwin.
You're now listening to MC Pipita on Home Run with Pipi.
The reason why I'm saying that, Edwin, I want you homework yako leo, go look at the statistics ya vile watu walivote in the last elections. Angalia the youth, look at young women. Now uone when you walivote, like the population of Kenya and how many people are registered to vote, now when you walivote. And you'll be so shocked. There's a lot of people walikuwa na hiyo mentality ya vote yangu I count. Mimi I don't like politics. Me I don't do this. And you see these numbers could have changed something. Unaona? Na kama you're worried about people stealing your vote, mbona usiende huko uchunge kura ya mtu mwenye una support? Go to the polling center, kaa hapo uchunge kura, uone wakicount, get involved. You cannot complain about sukari, economy, auna job and everything, but you're not participating in your civic duty. It's your duty as a Kenyan to vote. Because saizi, our MP and all these people, they're the ones that are making decisions on your behalf. So if you don't put your right person, that's the reason why we are having these problems. So wale watu wenye wa vote, I think they need jail time if you don't vote, seriously, because you're the people mwenye mnatuweka kwa hizi mashida. You're just as bad as the ones when you walivotia the wrong person. But I'm saying, yeah, it's your right. You can choose, but don't complain. That's what we said during the last time, PP. Remember, muende vote, but kikiwaramba msi complain. But you see, a lot of people are complaining right now about how the state of the affairs and the country, the economy, and the, whatever is going on. This is the consequence, direct consequence of the kind of leaders you choose. So hata kama watu wanasema vote yangu, hata wakiiba, at least try. Sisi wote tukifanya hivyo, imagine what's gonna happen. These people are gonna do whatever the heck they want. So for right now, we all need to participate and vote. Na kama unaogopa kuibiwa, enda huko, hata kama si ya president ita make a difference. Enda huko kwa kijiji yenyu, wherever you're registered to vote, chunga your ballot. Kaa huko, participate, become an officer. Whatever you need to do to protect your candidate, do it. Don't sit down and watch things happening and then saizi sasa tunakuwa affected. Anyway, it's not personal, I'm just saying, because kuna watu wengi wako na hiyo mentality.
All right, thank you Kemi for that. I want to hear from Boni. Sitaki kuifanya podcast yetu, nitabidi uende nyuma ya laini sasa. Boni, how are you doing?
Doing great. How are you guys doing? Can you hear me?
We are doing great.
Awesome. Yeah, so the first time listener, but I'm already, this is a very interesting platform that you have. Very exciting. I don't know if you guys know me, but, I spend a lot of time publishing my analysis, dealing with corruption and incompetence in our governments on X. So if you don't follow me, please follow. It's interesting listening to people's take on the issue of voting. I think all of us have to vote. I think that's important that you vote. If you don't vote, what you're doing is you're essentially allowing people that should not be in office to vote. To be in office. And if you think about where we are as a country and all the issues that we have, people are mad at Ruto, right? But Ruto would not be doing what he's doing if we had a functioning system of government. Our parliament is missing in action. We have a habit of electing celebrities and people who have absolutely no idea what it means to be a leader, right? And so you have to vote. Voting is important. Honestly, voting at the parliament level is actually more important than voting for the presidency, in my view, because if you vote for the right people, at least you can always have a crazy executive branch. You can always have a corrupt executive branch, but parliament is there. It's supposed to, constitutional democracy, parliament is there to sort of act as a guardrail, right? So think about, for example, if you've seen any of my analysis over the last few months, I cover, for example, how much debt we've taken as a country in the last 10 years, right? 9 trillion. We are sitting on almost 11 trillion in debt. And all the money was taken. We have a functioning parliament. We have a parliament that is not functioning. So our country has taken on so much debt. The country is in shambles economically. And that's why you're seeing, for example, the president try to essentially pass on the pain of this incompetence and physical discipline to all of you by bringing the finance bill, right? They wake up, our country is spending 60% of our tax revenue on just paying interest alone. And so what that means is that if you go to a hospital like Kenyatta and you're expecting services and you're expecting to find doctors and nurses, they're not there because we are spending 60% of our money on interest alone, just interest, which is insane. And so if you had a functioning parliament, what they would do is tell the government, you can't do this, guys. You need to cut expenses. Our politicians are some of the most expensive politicians in the world. I live in Texas. Some of you may know that. When I drive around here, when I'm dropping my son at school, right, you can see the difference between a system that's dominated by criminals, such as what we have in Kenya, and a system that's dominated by people that know what it means to be public servants. The difference is clear. I take my son to a public school here in Texas. He's never gone to a private school. Even though I can afford to take him to a private school, I don't need to do that because it's wasting money. Because the schools are good, he's going to find the best teachers, he's going to have the best facilities, right? He has the best chance to succeed by going to a public school. None of you can say that about any Kenyan sort of government run service. You can't say that about the hospital. You cannot say that about schools. So it's important the people that you select. So I want to urge you guys I know it's been, it's very frustrating to be a Kenyan, right? Where we keep recycling criminals in office, but we need to learn from our mistakes, and then we need to vote. We need to make sure we're voting for the right people. If you have followed me and you see my analysis, where I cover, what's happening with your money at the county level, particularly. The difference between a county doing well and a county not doing well is the people that you put into the governor's office, for example, those MCs that you guys vote for. Many Kenyans don't know that. So we send 15% of our budget to the counties. In many of these places, the money does not really make it to the ground, right? The money does not actually end up serving people. Most of the money, anyway. If you take any county, right? Like for example, last week I published something about Tana River County. We're a county that has a 33% literacy rate, right? 67% of the people there have never seen the inside of a classroom. Poverty rate of 67%, meaning that in that county, it is really difficult for a family to put 2 meals on the table. So you think about a country like that, and then you look at how their leaders are behaving with your money, right? For example, they issue almost 1 billion shillings worth of contracts to shadowy firms, shadowy companies that did not even exist 3 months before that. They come in, they take almost 1 billion shillings, and they disappear, right? That money could have been used to build a school or to hire an extra nurse or a doctor, right? And so this is happening all the time in our counties. If we all get frustrated, if we all get disappointed and say, you know what, I don't want to get involved in politics, guess what? You cannot escape politics. If you live in that county and you don't vote, and these criminals realize that, they're going to be like, you know what, this is working for us. So you need to get involved. You cannot run away from politics. I want to say the following before I finish, which is we have an abundance of what I would call dumb people in office, right? Someone mentioned the Salasias and those kind of characters. Your leaders in parliament particularly are not there. Their main job is not to pass out bursaries. They're not supposed to be driving around acting like kings, passing out bursaries. They're supposed to be sort of helping manage our country. They're supposed to be there as a check to make sure that the government is not out of control. But our politicians, by and large, do not actually do this. They think their job is to pass out bursaries. So really think about the person that you're voting for in the next election, for parliament, because the issues that we have in Kenya, right? Just think about chronic unemployment. The age group of between 18 and 34 years is the most productive in any country. In our country, that age group is facing a 67% unemployment rate. Nobody's saying anything about it. Nobody's doing anything about it. Our country, again, is facing 11 trillion of debt, right? Because of that, 60% of every tax money that comes in is going to pay interest, as opposed to sending your child to school, as opposed to sending your recently graduated a high school son or daughter to university, right? Instead of fixing your road, instead of fixing your hospital. So these things have consequences. They have consequences, and we need to make sure that we don't get so disappointed that we sort of throw our hands in the air, right? We need to get involved. We can't avoid politics. We cannot avoid politics. If you're also someone who sits there and gets frustrated by what's happening, do more than that. I think we all also do more than that. As someone who spends a lot of time chasing how our governments are behaving with our money in Kenya, and I'm doing that from Texas. That tells you that I have a lot of interest in what's happening. We need to think about whether or not you can actually make a difference. If you believe you can make a difference as a leader, think about it. Offer yourself. I believe for a long period of time, Kenyans shied away from politics because it's a dirty game. But what happens when you do that is you end up with people like Sonko running a whole government. You end up with people like Kidero running a whole county government. You end up with people like Salasi in parliament who have absolutely no idea what their role is in a constitutional democracy. So we cannot stay away. We need to get involved. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Boni, for that submission. I want to go to the next person, that is Gunia Junior. Habari yako Gunia?
Niko fiti pipi, habari ya siku mingi?
Niko salama bwana. Uliomoka ukatuacha.
Nilisafiri kidogo. Now I'm back and we are back in the nation building.
Karibu.
I'm happy to be here and I was listening keenly to Bonnie speaking and Kemi. I want to start by, and this is my opinion, I stand to be corrected, though this is my view. If you went to school and you say you are shying away from politics because you have given up, I feel like that's a primitive thinking. I would call you an idiot because the people who took you to school, probably our parents who were not able to go to school, took you to school so that you are in a position to make informed decisions and advise them. So if you are taken to school so that you can learn and come and advise people, and we have idiots going to parliament and doing funny things in leadership, and you stay aside and watch and saying it's for I don't know what, basically you're just a fool. Number one. Number two, I also wouldn't want people to keep on saying in Kenya, as if Kenya is the worst country in the world. It is not. It's just that we have expectations, we are elevated, we are informed, and the expectations that we are not seeing being met, probably not immediately. So we feel like the leaders are not doing enough that they should do, and we need improvement. But do not demonize everything. Do not be a complainant. Your job is to complain. That's a very negative energy that even if you apply in your personal life, you will never grow. So as you criticize with a solution, and at the same time appreciate that we have achieved as a nation. Because if you look at 10 years ago, the government would just do borrowing, and Kenyans don't even have a clue that there's something called borrowing. The government is playing games. Right now, people have a clue, and nobody just borrows like that. Even the president himself right now is having sleepless nights because Kenyans are aware of their rights. They know what is happening. They're asking tough questions, and it's not a walkover the way it used to be. Number two, the MPs used to be gods. Nobody used to question the MPs. Right now, the MPs answer very tough questions. Some places they can't even sit in congregations. They're being chased and all that stuff, and they're being asked questions. Number three, Kenyans did not even know or they didn't have interest on how government works. Right now, it's not about the presidency. When we talk about the MPs, they have the CDF. They are accountable for the over hundreds of millions they get per year. When we talk about the governors, we know the amount they are receiving and the responsibilities of a governor. And we talk about national government, we also know these things. This is something Kenyans didn't know. So everything was like president to Naomba, president, this and that. Right now, Kenyans know these things. That is progress. That is progress because we didn't know these things. Now we do. So when you see a road not done somewhere, we know who to ask. When we see a hospital somewhere, we know who to blame. When we see the debts, we know who to ask. That is progress. When you see governors and deputy presidents being impeached, that should tell you that democracy has matured. We are moving forward. What I'm trying to say is we are not where we are supposed to be, but we are progressing. Now, when it comes to the leadership we are talking about, when you understand the roles of the leaders, I believe that even the so-called Selassie, if you look at the performance, because I hear is the litmus paper here, Selassie is performing. It's just that his personalities are weird. He just laughs and all that stuff. But when you look at his development record, Selassie has done something. But I want to use someone like Babu Owino. Look at what he has done in Embakasi South. I want to use somebody like Mohaji Chopevu. You can see what he has done in Nyali. There are some MPs who has delivered. So what we are doing is that we have people who have succeeded in making using their leadership positions for great things. And of course, we also have jokers. We must have those elements everywhere in the society, not only in Kenya, but everywhere in the society. So our job is to make sure that we have more productive leaders, more support, more accountability. And as we go by, because I can tell you for a fact, come 2027, the conversation will not be when him to wetu. Nobody wants to hear that bullshit anymore. People will ask you questions about the debt, about your record, about what you have done, about what you have not done. So I'm trying to urge those people who are sitting on the first of all, for the record, I'm going to see if every money I get, the position I have, those things are even driving on the wrong side. Somebody mentioned those things. They don't no longer apply. Nobody moves on the road, except probably for the president, deputy president, and probably few people. But the normal bulldozing that the constitution itself. Kenya has the best constitution. And anybody who has read it and has compared with the constitution worldwide, other constitutions will tell you that Kenya has the best constitution. Is that implementation ndio kuna ukora. There's some ukora in implementation. But when you look at the gains of that constitution, for example, before the police used to intimidate people. They pick you and keep you for years as they feel like. These days it's 24 hours, everybody knows. Before, the police had the final say. These days, the DPP is counter-checking. The DCI, everybody is accountable, including DCI, including the OCPD, OCS, DCI, whatever. Everybody is, including the IG. They were being jailed the other day. So those progress is courtesy of Kenyans being awake. They read the constitution and demanded this upon themselves. It's a progress. So what we are doing is just we are improving. This is why presidential elections could be overturned by the Supreme Court. This only happens in Kenya. So what I'm saying is, let's look at the progress. And anybody who is saying they're going to participate, that's an idiot. People you should bring the Nyawunyo. They must participate. They must give their opinion. Actually, it's a responsibility. So when you sit there and tell us you want good hospitals, you want good roads, yet when you are making that decision, you're nowhere to be seen. Wait until you lose a loved one on the road because the road is probably some funny accident, or you take your loved one to the hospital and there are no medical facilities or there's no dawa, when that's when you will understand that it is your responsibility. So I urge everybody to make a decision when that time comes. If you don't want chaos, just go vote in the leader that you want. They will protect the votes. We will protect your vote. At the end of the day, pole pole, tutasonga. As we discussed, right now, PP was not there a few years ago. PP is here now. And the way we educate each other, we will have more accountability, more wise ideas. There's a Bonnie saying that is sharing column all over. This was never there. He's educating people. If you read Bonnie's column today, tomorrow, after 1 month, probably will be more educated in terms of the responsibilities, accountability, and everything. So, PP, for now, I'll leave it at that. But I am telling Kenyans that do not look at the negative side. Look at what you have achieved. Look at what we can achieve. What part do you play in us achieving that? Play your small role, however small it is. If it's just voting, it's helping Mnyanye to understand what is in the constitution, telling them huyu amesimamia debt, huyu ni mwizi. You give your opinion, educate these people. That's why we call that civil education, where Akina Morara walking around. Even Morara is now contributing. He's moving around telling people, hii ni uongo, hii haikufanya. This was never there. So for me, I feel we have done well, and let's continue. Now, anybody who says they're not voting in PP, Nyawunyu. Thank you.
You are listening to Home Run with Pipi. Weekdays from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m.
Leo tunaanza na, this is just our first hour of Home Run with people, and we still have like 4 more hours. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. Hey, asante sana Gunia. The other guy, how are you doing? The other guy, how are you doing?
Yes, I'm good, Pipita.
Karibu sana kwenye show.
Asante sana. So, I saw a post, some guy who said, after conceding defeat for member of parliament, sijui side gani, he said he concedes defeat and he understands the situation because the electorate could not match his IQ. And I think as much as leadership is going to change in the country, as much as some of us really would like to be leaders in this country, it becomes hard to even imagine the kind of people you are going to interact with once you decide to maybe launch your political career. The more things change in this country, the more they remain the same. Kenyans hope other people vote. Umesikia di mmoja hapa akisema hatapiga kura. Kenyans stay at home, hope other people vote. And the people who go to vote, most vote on lines that sometimes are tribal, but most especially shags uko ndani huko mahali hawajui Pipita. Unajua sasa Pipita anajulikana kila mahali. Huko sasa kwenye hawajui Pipita, kwenye hawajui hata X ina exist, hawajui spaces nini. There is a very large population there, let me tell you. And these are people who live hand to mouth, and some actually wait for 5 years hadi wapewe pesa ya bure. Now, in the 2022 elections, some place I had, your competitor could actually buy the voters card of your supporters na dhao, anawapatia dhao, voters card yao wanapeana, so your supporters don't show up to vote the following day. It's a sad state of affairs in this country, and like I say, the more things change, the more they remain the same. People are coming up with the same old scripts, and we are going to make the same mistake. Personally, I've always been kind of political, but niliambiwa niache siasa because the positions I take are too honest. Because if I wanted to run for a political seat today, I wouldn't give anybody a shilling, Mimi, because I don't believe that's the way to go. But now you see that it's not the time, unless more people wenye akili zao zimefunguka decide to vote, decide to change the voter population, wakuwe wase wana vote ni wengi wenye wako na akili kuliko wenye hawana. Now that will change, and this goes to university students, college students, the people with wenye wanaweza analyze vitu logically without the influence of money. Now when that generation comes to realize that politics is politics is a central navigation point of everything in this life. Kuna vitu mingi, but once you mess up in politics, once you ignore politics, everything from healthcare to water to transport, all infrastructure, the moral campus right now lies kwa politics. So it will be hard unless the people wenye wamesoma decide wacha tuanze kupiga kura, because most of them do not. Most of campus students who are eligible to vote do not go to the ballot to vote. And it's sad, but that's the reality. Now the other thing, when you see even the people that upigwa sana Twitter, and you imagine you want to be like some of them, inakuchokesha. Because personally, I've read about this guy called Boniface Mwangi. I've listened to the guy speak, and before I got into Twitter, I always thought that was some really nice guy, yeah. Then unaingia Twitter unapata anapigwa manzi. So kozile sasa kama mnapiga mtu kama Boniface Mwangi, the person who I thought is like the good material, who do you want? Yeah. And then people draw names that ukiangalia, some existing politicians, some shoddy businessmen, and we have a long way to go. Yeah. Because if you could try to tear somebody like Boniface Mwangi down, a guy who, in my opinion, maybe not in the opinion of
Today, the other guy, we are not going on personality politics. I want to talk about the people who are here on this space and also what you expect. So kindly also stay on topic. I don't want you to get lost. No, topic alone ni mbona mimi kwa uongozi. So I want to hear if you are looking to be an elected leader or you're looking to vote. So yeah, maybe you could stick on that line. Don't go much into Boni and all that.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, nimetoka kiasi. So let me not use the name, but let me say the people Kenyans fight on Twitter na huku nje are some of the best people I've come across. Maybe in reading, maybe in watching, some personally, which means if I wanted to delve into politics, I wanted to vie for a political seat, it will be hard considering the electorate bado haija change kabisa, mindset haija change. Wase wengi, they do not know what's happening in the country. Okay, some sahi wase wengi wameanza kujua, but some are still ignorant. So yeah, I will vote. I voted in 2022. It was my first time voting. Hopefully I'll vote, but bado the fabric of the society bado haijakuwa uniform kabisa. So it will be hard for people going to the to elections with clear intentions, but
thank you.
lazima tuta struggle, and hopefully we'll get there.
All right, thank you, the other guy. Let me listen to Patrick, and then I will go to Wycliffe, and then Frema. Frank Habari, I hope you're good. Patrick?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hello.
Jumbo?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Thank you, PP, and all the listeners on this show today. This is a very great show. I like the topic today: leadership. Leadership. You see, we have had this distorted view that leadership is all about the members of parliament and the leaders, and we have this narrow and warped view about leadership. I think we need to look at leadership on a whole scale, in the sense that all of us as human beings are endowed with different gifts, and we have talents, and we are born with something that we have to offer our society or the humanity we live in. So we have leaders from all cadres. We have leaders. You can be a leader in the business world. You can be a leader in an education setup. You can be a leader in the environment world, in the religious sector. You can be a leader in the political sector. You can be a leader in the Jua Kali sector, in all these kind of sectors. You can be a leader. So the issue is, what is leadership? I think that's where most of us miss the point. We should ask the fundamental question: who is a leader? In my humble view, and there are several people who have defined leadership, in my humble view, leadership, in my view, is trying to impact society positively, because there are those who impact negatively. Even we have gang leaders, they're leaders, they impact negatively. But for me, I look at it in terms of impacting the society positively in your own humble and small way, and making a positive change to the world you live in, and leave a legacy in the world we're living in today. So, based on that, I want to disabuse the notion that people are coming up. Some have fears that, when you want to go for a seat, people ask you for money and all that. Well, that is a form of, I can call it an ideology or a transactional idea that has been introduced by our politicians, who are looking for a shortcut to leadership. But today I want to challenge all of us. If you have something seriously you want to share with the people, and you have demonstrated that leadership in your small area, wherever you are, I can guarantee you, you will not give anybody any money, and people will elect you. We have had leaders in this country. I'll give you an example. If you have known of a tycoon called Harold Mwawa, for the first time when he was running as a member of parliament in the region of Kambani, the guys spent a presidential kind of campaign in a constituency, and the guy lost. He spent all the money. Like, he was going around the constituency and was asking the people, what do you want? You know, the place is so dry, and they said we wanted soda. And he'll go to the Coca-Cola depot and bring a truckload of sodas, and people will drink sodas. They'll say, oh, we want bread. He'll buy bread for them. They said, oh, we want electricity. He'll install transformers for electricity. The people said, we want water. He'll drill boreholes. But then people didn't elect him. Why? Because he didn't connect with the people. The other guy who didn't do that was elected to parliament. So there are several issues that go into an election before people elect you. So first thing, believe in yourself and believe that I have something I want to share with the people. If you believe you can be a legislator, you go to parliament to legislate, to represent people and to oversight. If you have those attributes, go out there and speak to the people. Sell yourself, your gift to the people. Share it out with them. There are those who will believe you. I can shock you, you can run against a billionaire and win an election because people have believed in you. You have a cause you're fighting for. Go and make people aware that to be a member of parliament, I'm going to represent you, represent your wishes. I'm going to represent you and get you what you need. I cannot afford to give you everything, but I'm going to represent you so that the taxes we pay are properly used for your well-being. If you market yourself very well, people will listen to you and they'll offer you leadership. So today, we can rise up and change the narrative. Go out there and change the narrative. Sometimes they say, people ask, why are things like the way they are? You should ask, but why can they not be the other way around? When this Gen Z movement started and some people went out, you were shocked that some people, when they were demonstrating, there's some restaurants that are giving people water. Have you ever seen that done in the streets of Nairobi before? Because before, demonstrators, when people saw demonstrators, they closed shops. But this time round, when people are going out peacefully and getting their messages out, people offered them lunches, they bought them water, and they did all those kind of things. So this is an opportune moment for us as a country. We can change the narrative. We can change the narrative that in the next election that we go to, we can be like in the US. In fact, interest groups will be coming to you to sponsor your campaign, offer you logistics. If you need vehicles to move around, if you need public address system to move around and sell your message, people will come out and support you because they believe in your cause and what you stand for, that you indeed represent their wishes. We want to see that kind of system because in the US, when you're seeing Akina Trump and Kamala Harris running, they are getting people who sponsor their campaigns. They're not using their personal resources. They are getting people who believe in them. So we can start shaping that narrative in our country today. So I want to encourage all of us, for those of you who have ambitions. I have ambitions politically, and I'm preparing myself. I don't have all the resources, fine, but I believe I'm going to sell myself to the people and offer a different kind of leadership that we have never seen in this country. And this is what we're talking about.
Unataka kiti gani, Patrick?
In fact, in the last election, people are saying I ran for member of parliament, and I'm considering that. I think I can do very good work as a legislator. I'm seriously considering that. But there are several offers I was given in the last election to run, but I was a bit busy. I got late to the campaign. I campaigned for other people, but then people suggested, we know now going to the campaign rallies, people are saying that it's you should be running for this seat. In fact, I was challenged and I really regretted why I didn't run at that time. So the one I was campaigning for, people will after the meeting, they'll come and tell me, but it's you who should be running for this seat. In fact, you're better than the candidate you're campaigning for. So I felt really challenged, and that's why I'm organizing myself. I run and do legislation. We need legislation in this country. We need proper policies, and we need to have set direction for the country on a new path. And that's one thing I'm considering seriously. We can change the way things have been done. I believe we can change the way things have been done. And this is a moment for us as a country. This is a really great moment for us as a country. We can change the way things are running. So, PP, I thank you for this great topic you've shared with us about leadership. And I want to encourage all of us. Find something that you are doing in your own small way, something that you're good at. Show leadership in your own small way. I can tell you, if you show leadership in small ways in your small community, wherever you are, people will be attracted to that leadership style of yours, and they'll offer you that opportunity on a larger scale. If you're offering leadership in your small community, in your village, and wherever, people like that leadership, and they can offer you that opportunity on a wider scale, whether in a constituency, in a county, or even nationally, because you have demonstrated leadership in a small area. The challenge we've had in this country, unfortunately, is this: that we have been electing people just on the basis, most people are lured into electing people just because somebody has given them money and all that. But we have never had that time, or we have never had an opportunity where somebody can showcase leadership in other areas, where you come to the scale and show that I have provided leadership in this area. And based on my successful leadership in this small area, I want to bring this leadership to another level on this scale, either in the constituency or in the county, and I'm asking for your support. So if you can show people that you have demonstrated leadership and you invite them to support you in your new leadership role, I think most people will give you a chance. And that's one thing I just wanted to share with all of us. I think people, that's what I can say for that. I have other things I want to go to, but I thank you for the opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Patrick, and all the best when you go for that role. I think you should go. You're well spoken, bana. Unaogopa nini? Na watu wamekuambia enda.
Thank you.
Anyway, Wycliffe, how are you doing? Thank you so much, Patrick.
Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, thank you for this opportunity. I hope all of you are listening to me, right?
Yes, we are
Are
here.
you in a...
We can hear you, Wycliffe.
Okay, thank you. So the first thing I want to talk about is the civic rights that we need to do. That is about the voting, because as youth we are given a perception that we do not vote. And in my area where I come from Gunja constituency. There's a lot of political patronage also as well that we need to fight with, because people are supporting leaders or voting for leaders in line with their personal interest, but not looking at the values of a leader or what a leader should have generally for them to be in a position to lead a constituency or either a ward or either a county. So I have an ambition. Actually, I am aspiring to vie for the member of parliament Gunja constituency, since the previous member of parliament was appointed as the current CS Energy and Petroleum. So another problem or rather challenge that I want to talk about is about the youth. We really do not have a unity of purpose. Somebody may rise up, somebody may want to, bring that meaningful change within the community, within the society, trying to bring about the civic education, but a number of them will, side with you, and then they'll later start bringing on the blame games, because the person whom was elected or who was elected is not the person whom we expect to lead that specific place or position which the individual is holding. So I think that we have an opportunity, and we have a one-time opportunity that we need to fully pursue our democratic right. We need to echo our voices. We need to support each other. We need to, just encourage each other. We need to look at all the avenues on how we can get into this government and ensure that we are in control. Because I wonder, for instance, many a times in a position I currently hold, known as the Sierra County College and University Students Association, we have a number of issues whereby students from Nairobi, Kakamega, apply for bursaries, but being that now I'm the constituency representative, they have to look for me, right? They have to contact me to go and do a follow-up for just a simple bursary of 5,000, which is not making any logic. So I think it is high time we utilize this opportunity that we have. It is high time we come together, we unify our voices. It is high time we not only just come together, but we need to really embrace the movement, embrace the Gen Z whatsoever, because even in my area where I'm coming from, the old aspirants, actually currently as I'm speaking, we have over 20 old aspirants who want the very same position with an ODM ticket. I haven't heard about an independent candidate so far. And it really tells you what people really want to serve the interest of the party. They do not want to serve the interest of the people, and that is what we should really try and walk away with as youth. So people, I want to thank you so much for this opportunity, and I hope that moving forward we'll continue to discuss further and see how we can echo our voices more clearly to reach out to everyone there who is, fighting for a better society. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that submission, Wycliffe, and all the best in that seat as you run for it. I see Frema is here with us. Habari yako Frema?
Mzuri sana, nimesubiri sana. Karibuni.
Line ni mrefu, unajua siku huku tunapatia watu nafasi ya kuongea yao yote.
No, I understand. And I'm impressed by today's candid conversation. Nimefurahia sana.
Karibu sana ndugu.
Let me first take this opportunity to thank you because you are doing very exemplary work in giving opportunity youth at least to submit what is in their minds pertaining the current leadership and governance. First, let me respond to Patrick. Not Patrick, sorry, a guy by the name Edwin. Edwin said he was trying to discourage people from participating in voting. Let me tell Edwin, bad leaders are chosen or elected by those who don't participate in an election process. So it is good voting, actually casting your vote, so that you don't become or join the category of those people who complain of bad leadership and governance, and yet you didn't participated during the election day. I want to thank Bonnie and Gunia. I think he has spoken our minds. They have talked what resonates our thoughts and minds. And I am going to be brief. Election
Frema, umeenda? Maleka ni ya Frema.
black my earphone. Can you hear me?
Yeah, toa earphone, talk to us directly.
Unplug, so okay. So nilikuwa nasema problems we are encountering currently as a state emanate from the ballot box. We make bad election choice during election, and that's why it is our duty as we youth to unite and speak in one voice, at least tusiwahi shuhudia tena chenye kimefanyika, because chenye imefanyika ni sisi. Let us face the consequence. Let us blame ourselves, yes, because of that bad election choice we made. And that's why I was challenging Edwin that usipopiga kura ni wewe mwenyewe ndio utachagua ule kiongozi mbaya. So we want to be role models and ambassadors of when there is a function kule in the village, umeitwa mahali, at least try to liberate other people on making the right choices during an election. What I have realized, nimepiga kura karibu mara I think 3 times na kuna kitu nimerealize kwa villages, because I've spearheaded some of the elections kwa ground. Only 30% of youth ndio wanapiga kura. Wale wengine 70% hawajarejista, wengine hata hawana ID. Civic education hawajafanyiwa civic education, so wanapiga kura kwa msingi ya kabila, on tribal basis, and that's where leaders wana clinch into power. Vijana, it is so sad that we have two types of fools. I'm sorry to say this, but it's reality. We have an educated fool and a fool who is not educated. But so I'm blaming an educated fool. An educated fool is that one who sounds more primitive than an unschooled fool. Why a politician mwenye hajasoma anaenda kununua makaratasi, anakuja kukununua wewe wakati wa kampeni upige kura, anaenda bunge ananunuliwa kupitisha mswada which is against the will of the common mwananchi, and then you come and cry that certain leader amekuwa puppet, ametumiwa, amepiga kura against us, na ni wewe mwenyewe ulinunuliwa kura. So let us liberate, guys, and change from that. The other thing, as I am winding up, vijana, let us do away with this mindset or mentality of mtu wetu. I've been insisting on this because hii ndio imeplay a bad role in electing bad leaders during elections, in every election. Tafadhali tuache na at least to educate our watu wako ground. We have factors that which Boni and Kunia have talked about, the factors that can create a complex interplay that leads to the selection of leaders who may not serve the best interests of their constituents, such as charismatic appeal. Bad leaders often possess charisma and strong communication skills, using flowery language to attract followers, overshadowing their lack of competence or integrity. And that's what you have seen in Kenya. We have populism. Leaders may appeal to popular sentiments, promising solutions to complex issues in a simple, relatable way, which can resonate with voters who feel
Frema. We are losing you, Frema. I don't know if you can hear me, Frema, but I've lost you.
Welcome to the home run with PP.
Frema, I'm going to drop you so that you can reconnect. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Home Run with PP. Happens here each and every weekday from 4 p.m. all the way to 9 p.m. East African time. Malia Davis, how are you doing?
I'm good, PP. How are you?
Niko salama kabisa, nashukuru.
Asante. Nasalimia wenzangu. Okay, today's topic is very complex. It's not a simple topic because it has so many nuances. Let's just take an example. I know you've said we don't discuss personalities, but now what else do we have to discuss? Like, take Morara. I understand Morara, there was a time he ran for MCA somewhere in Kahawa or something like that, Thika Road somewhere. And he didn't sell through. But you can see now, because I think the point that I want to come out is that electoral leadership is not the be-all and end-all of leadership, because you can see Morara is doing very well, and he didn't, had he become an MCA, probably he would not be able to be of as much impact as he is now. Another person is our women's rep for Nairobi, Esther Passaris. Esther Passaris was doing Adopt a Light. She used to find the sponsors to be able to adopt a light so that the city could be lit. And if you go through Nairobi now, you will see that we have a problem of darkness. Very few roads are lit. Most of the roads are in utter darkness. And when she was doing that, she was really, she was doing an impactful type of a leadership. Now, as a women's rep, I can't tell you what she does, And I'm not saying that women's reps, there is some people say that women's reps seats should be scrapped. Because there are so many people who have been able to come into leadership through those women's rep seats. And we know in Kenya that even with the affirmative action of the women's rep seats, we are still having only 19% of politicians or elected officials are women. So imagine, even with affirmative action, we're at 19%. And even in the constitution, we need a third. Yeah, we need to apply that a third gender role, which means it should be at 33, more than double what it is now. Yeah, so I think, the problem that comes in with these elections is that, first of all, like the gentleman who has come here and said that he was campaigning for someone else and people were telling him you should be the one who should run. One thing is that they are brokers. Yeah, who move from one person to the other, telling them that you should run for the seat so that they can be able to make money out of that person. That is one thing that is in Kenya. People can come and tell you, run, people want you, but what they are after is not really your leadership. They're just after what handouts they can get from you. So they come and they tell you, give money to this women's group, give money to this youth group and whatnot. And there are so many brokers like that. So sometimes the so-called ground, you may be mistaken. There was an MCA who was crying after elections that he had spent all his money and he was sure that the ground wanted him and he lost. He was from Wiper. So sometimes the voices, you don't know who is genuine and who is not. But money plays a big role in politics. It's very rarely, and that's why you see these cases come on TV of like PK Selassie or Selassie, because they are rare. That's why they come on the news. It's very rare for you to win an election if you don't have money. And you can still have the money and still fail. But most of the time, you need to give people money. That is what Kenyan politics is about, particularly like in high-stakes areas like Nairobi here. Boniface Mwangi tried to run at one point for MP, but he was not handing out money to people. So he lost to, I think, Jaguar. And that is the trend. That is the reality. At times it's good to just face the reality. Then there are people who are go even to the extent of even using supernatural means like witchcraft. This money which they distribute, they bewitch the money so that it confuses the electorate. And there have been cases like that which are taken to court, whereby someone won election by witchcraft and it's taken to the court that this person won unfairly, because even the witch doctor is there to give the to give the witness that I bewitched money which was given out, and that's how this guy was. Anyway, there are so many nuances, but I think our elected leaders, it's corrupting. You can go in, because I keep thinking about Morara. What if Morara had gone in as an MCA, and then he goes in and he sees what is happening there. They are taken on trips. They are busy embezzling the money. Maybe by now he could have been corrupted. You go in and you see other people, your peers, they are getting rich quick because of all these things. For example, he was elected to be an MP. He is then put in a parliamentary select committee. In that parliamentary select committee, They do research and get complaints from people, and then what they do is that they reach out to the person who has been mentioned and ask for money, you know. So it is a matter of, I'm in a parliamentary select committee so that I can get bribes against people who are doing wrong, so that I can enrich myself. So you are going to be isolated because everybody else there is there to climb the ladder. Okay? So if you came in like Akina Toto, you go there and you find the other people, they have all kinds of money, they have apartments in Dubai, and you're just that village person who it's only your village people who helped you. Like that guy who was called Mwirigi, if you can remember him. He didn't even have fare for coming to Nairobi, and immediately he landed in Nairobi, he was given a Prado. So he goes to parliament with people who they're damn rich. And you see, he feels, a human being is a social animal. So when you are in that kind of environment and you are so poor, and these people, they are so loaded, they are thinking rich, you even feel inferiority complex because now, and then they're getting rich and you are seeing it because the bribes are not paid. That when they want to bring a motion, you remember the lady who even went to the loo to give people 10,000. So the place is a marketplace of selling and buying. And that is all what it is. And you can see MCAs who they come in, within 1 year, the person is filthy rich. So I'm not very sure about the capability of someone who is genuine coming into a corrupt environment and changing the environment. Most likely, the environment is the one which is going to change you. Or if you can't change it and it can't change you, then you'll just be there, you're frustrated, you go on, and then at the end of the day, probably you'll lose the seat to somebody who is wealthier, because you'll be frustrated. Because if everyone else is there to enrich themselves and you're there to genuinely serve, you'll have it rough. But I want to give accolades to some people like Babu Owino. Babu Owino, we knew him during his time in the university, and he was implicated in things like drug dealing and all that. But when he came in as an MP in Embakasi, he really did a good job. And not just monetarily in terms of dishing out, because our problem also, we have made these MPs to be our ATM machine. You find I knew somebody who wanted to run for an MP seat. He was not even an MP, he was just looking to run. Then people are sending
Am I the only one who cannot hear Malia, or Malia, you're gone?
Lost. Malia.
Yes, we lost Malia.
Okay. Sawa. Let me bring in Okoth to talk to us. How are you doing, Okoth? And then we'll go to Preman. And then if you're a leader, I'm looking for those people who are looking to be leaders to come and tell us what they are planning for their people. We already had a couple of people in the first hour. I know Bonir is looking to be a governor. So I'll be letting him speak to us in a few. Yes, but right now, Okoth, how are you?
I'm good, brother. Asante sana for this great opportunity. Yes, my name is Okoth Opondo. I do civic education on TikTok, sometimes just using some research work by amazing people like Boni, trying to make Kenyans understand how the Kenyan economy is being managed and just how generally things are running. So I find this conversation very important, Pepita, because one, I was the youngest candidate in Kibra by election 2019, where we had Mariga, Imran Okoth, and 22 other candidates. We were a total of 25 candidates, and I emerged number 4. And I was running without a political party. So in that election, we had 24 candidates. 17 running with parties, and 7 running without political parties. 3 ladies in the race, then the rest were gentlemen. But I was the youngest in that race. And to date, I do thank everyone just for getting the opportunity to run and just to see how campaigns are done. I was 22 when I was going for this seat, and I can tell you that the reality on the ground on the campaign, politics is not for the chicken-hearted, because what I saw on the ground, and I can tell you even 2 weeks to the day of election, I could never sleep at my home at all. As we're speaking right now, I have panga marks on my back, which were actually sustained on me by young people that we went to the same schools within my area. And later on, I remember one of them revealing to me that they were given 1,000 to share 10 people, so that they could just come and scare me and make sure that I don't proceed the election. So at first people thought that I was going to get out of the race. I chose not to go with a political party because you know how nominations usually go. So along the way, it became very difficult, especially the issue of collecting signatures. You needed to collect 1,000 signatures from registered voters. You go round one, you take about 1,200 signatures to ABC, they verify, they tell you that out of these 1,200, only 400 are valid. You go back to the ground again. Now even IBC made it so difficult because you needed to take the signatures and photocopies of IDs of everyone who is signing for you, which is total. It is very, very, very difficult, honestly, for a common person. How do you get someone's signature and again tell the same person, now give me your ID so that I get a photocopy? And remember, you're just collecting these signatures randomly from the markets and from everywhere. But anyway, we managed to do it. And finally, after 3 rounds of taking the signatures, because of the second round I was giving up, when I went for the second round, taking signatures, I took about 1,700 signatures. IBC told me that only 917 were valid. It was about 6 hours to the deadline. So again, I went back. Now what I had to go do, then again, just going again. And you know, you can never be sure who is a registered voter or who is not a registered voter and who is the registered voter in your own constituency. Because there are so many people also working there. So then after that, we got into the race. And I remember when I when I became very serious with the campaigns and now started going to TV stations, which was also very difficult because even television stations, they know who they, they invite. They invite these big people from the big political parties, and I'm sharing this with a lot of authority. I even told, I think, one of the media personalities when they invited me to KTN after the election that why are you inviting me now? And every time your people used to come to the ground, and every time they cover our voices, then later on a reporter and the cameraman will tell you, unataka kuonekana kwa news ama watu una 5,000 ama upatie kuhakikisha that your voice plays saa moja ama saa tatu. So media is already biased on how they handle candidates, even those wenye wanajua tu kitu wanafanya. The people on the ground, that's another challenge. Now let me tell you, everyone on this panel, even what shocked me most. Even we, the people who are running for some of these seats, do not even understand what we are running for. Mimi, I was glad. By background, I've done law, I've been the civic education, even at a civic, physically. I've done like town halls in about 40 out of the 47 counties. I was among the people who hosted G-Active. And if you remember G-Activate, that brought like the presidential candidates in KICC 2017. I was just among the people mobilized, and I was one of the people who were moderating the panel there. So at least I really knew what a member of parliament is supposed to be doing. So when you are campaigning and you're going to the people, what do the people most of the time want to hear? They want to hear now solutions. How will you address issue ya chakula? How will you address issue of floods, mvua ikinyesha ni Kibera? How will you address this? How will you address this? And ukianza kukua real kidogo na kuambia, okay, unajua role yangu kama MP ni oversight, legislation, representation, and watu sasa wanaanza kudisconnect kidogo na wewe. We attended community debates, and debate after debate. For me, that one is where I was doing well because I've been a debater and a public speaker for some time. But now, when it comes now to the issue of money, the moment you may declare you are a candidate in a race, if you're keen enough, you realize the schools and churches do a lot of fundraising activities times a campaign, because they know at that point everyone is desperate. You're looking for crowds, so you just get a random call from a church. Hey, niaje, can you join us this Sunday? Unaenda huko. Huko ukienda wanatarajia unatoa pesa, ukitoka tu hapo hivyo, ukitoka tu immediately another candidate kume pia alikuwa amepangwa atajoin tu after wewe, after hiyo later on unaenda kwa Facebook unaangalia ma tweet, unaangalia unapata that moment ulitoka hapa watu walipanga candidates wote, not that they really want people to listen to you. That is the time wanataka kujenga kanisa mpya, wanataka sijui kujenga nini mpya, kuchange roof za kanisa na nini na nini, and this keeps on going and going and going. But now, so as somebody mentioned here, when you just design campaign vizuri, pole pole sasa unaweza kupata interest groups zinaanza kukuja. But unfortunately, a by-election inafanyika within a very short time. Campaign was just about 1 month, 2 weeks. It was very rigorous campaign. Most of you will remember how the current president was campaigning for Mariga, and the former president with Raila, and all that brigade was campaigning for the other candidate. Sasa sisi tulikuwa tu in the mix up ndani. Watu nakupata wanakuvuruga, people don't want to listen to you. But immediately after the elections, when all the other candidates are gone, wewe ndio umebaki hapo hivyo mtani. Mtu akitaka tu shida ya akiwa na shida ya basari, mtoto anafaa kwenda shule. Nani sasa wewe ndio unakujiwa? Wewe ndio kiongozi wetu, tunaona tu hapo karibu na sisi. Oh, tusaidie kufanya. But then how you wonder. For example, I met a certain woman who told me, because I train schools on public speaking and debates, I run a debating program. That woman came and told me that, Opondo, unajua mtoto wangu anakupenda hata kwa nyumba na ni convince nikupigie kura. Lakini sasa wewe ni leader wa mtoto wangu. Mimi baba akisema ama nani akisema niende right ama left, huko ndio direction taenda. But then after election, the same person now comes to you that unakumbuka ile mtoto wangu anakuambia sasa shafanya KCP na sasa hatuna namna vile ataenda high school. So even how Kenyans look at leadership itself pia ndio inachanganya zaidi. Because I looked at the number of times nilikuwa demanded nitoe pesa in places zenye hata nashindwa natoa pesa ngapi. Imagine mimi at my age of 22 hata bado niko campus, mtu mwingine anafaa kwenda campus, anafaa kwenda abroad, unaitwa rambe yake ya kumchangia tiketi ya ndege. Wewe mwenyewe hata saizi hata bado hujamaliza university yenyewe. Unajiuliza, how practical is this? How do Kenyans actually even view the leaders ama the aspirants on the ground? And it's just a time that people just see it is a time now to start harvesting from people left, right and center. But again, what is very important, and we are not giving up because of this kind of nonsense, Kenya is changing, and it's changing because of these great voices that we listen to here. The people doing amazing jobs on the ground, Akina Boni doing great research and always letting us know, look, this is how your country and the funds are being squandered. Guys, wake up and see the reality. One thing that I believe as Kenyans, lazima tuangalie leadership beyond politics. Tusione leaders in these 290 members of parliament we elect, the 47 senators. As someone said here, turudishe leadership huku chini kabisa. Tuanza kuangalia as simple as even a funeral committee kwa mfano. Who do you trust na pesa yaku? Ya pesa ya matanga. Na kama mtu mnamtrust inamaanisha huyo mtu mnajua kubudget vizuri. Pesa ya harusi kwa mfano, who do you trust? That's something we call fractal democracy. We start looking at things at the smaller level, that whenever there's a gathering somewhere, nani wa tunatrust as a chairman, na tukimtrust as a chairman hata kama ni kupanga football tournament, ana deliver. Tukimweka kama secretary wa nini, ana deliver. To me, those are now the people that we should start now thinking of even how to scale them up. Tuanze kuangalia watafanya watatupeleka aje. Lastly, let us make every Kenyan, with myself included, because the question hapa ni mbona mimi kwa uongozi. People should know that the real duty of the citizen is not just to vote. It begins immediately after voting. Today, Boni will contest or Opondo or Pipita or Freeman or Wycliffe in Ugunja. But the Wycliffe Ugunja is my constituency. I come from Sigomre. So today someone will contest. There's no single day that tutaipata maybe tumechagua mtu 100% votes. But the moment election ishafanyika na imeisha, can we then now just agree that now we have another new duty of now putting this guy on check, that whether mimi nilimpigia ama sikumpigia na ni MCA wetu, lazima deliver. Tumfanya elewe duties zake ni gani, na kienda off, we know that the constitution and the laws zinatupatia power ya kumrekebisha, na kama itawezekana hata kumungatua, so that tumreplace na the right people. I insist, 5 years in the life of a man bwana, tuna waste time mingi sana. So kama tunaweza tu kubali kupatia mtu kura kwa sababu ameleta leso ya shilingi 500, it is your 5 years that this guy is going to waste. 5 years inamaanisha kama mtoto alikuwa class 8, kama bado wenye walikuwa wanafanya KCP, by the time anamaliza umefanya hadi form 4. amekula time yako yote ya high school, nothing has been done. Wewe umetulia tu pale, tulishachagua mtu mbaya, sasa tumwache aende. Guys, when we talk of mbona mimi kwa uongozi, it means that even if I do not occupy an elective position, I have a role to play in how the leadership of my county, my ward is being done, and we have to do something about it. And that's why I'm really appreciating everyone kwa hii panel and Pepita. Asante sana manze. God bless you so much.
Thank you bana Okot. Okot, umeongea kitu fulani hapo kuhusu campaigns. Let me understand this. What do you mean you could not sleep at your place for 2 weeks before elections? Ulikuwa unahandwa hivyo sana?
Yes.
They were looking for you actively.
I'm here.
No, I'm asking. You were saying that during the campaign time you are unable to sleep at your place. Was it because people were actively hunting for you to murder you or what?
Yes, unajua mimi nilikuwa nakaa na karibu na place inaitwa State House. State House ni place inaitwa Olympic. Hapo ndio sasa penye, yani the main entrance ya kipo kwenda mji ama wapi. And now that kila mtu ashajua unaishi hapo, saa 1 asubuhi wamama washakuja wamepanga laini kwa gate yenyu. Hadi landlord anaanza kusema bwana utatuletea shida hapa. Mtu anakuja anasema bwana jana nililala njaa. Sijui mtoto wangu ajaenda shule. You see how people define leaders in the fold. So kuna that. Then the other second part ni now sasa watu nakuja because mimi what I was used to do ni kipata opportunity ya kanisa na nipate tu dakika 5 ya kutoa speech, lazima ni win some few hearts because I knew sasa mimi sikuwa na pesa ya campaign. Sana when other candidates wajue kitu kama hiyo, wanaanza kutuma watu wakuje wa kuhunt. Na ndio kwa sababu hata siku moja walinivamia wakanichapa panga actually on the left shoulder. Na watu walinichapa panga ni watu nawajua kabisa, hadi saizi we are friends, tunajua. Nawambianga like what did you do? 1,000 shillings mlipewa msha watu 10, like 100 shillings each worth carrying a panga kunikata. Peter, that's the experience, bro.
Well, unasikia, I think this is what we need to hear also from people who are also looking to go there. Because I think even though the same thing that happened to Morara in Bomas of Kenya, baptism by fire, Kenya politics iko na uchafu mbaya sana. I see Frema is here with us. Frema, ulipotea katikati ya submission yako saa zile.
Sorry, Peter, experience a connection problem. I think you can hear clearly. I'm clear now, sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
Okay. Let me just say something, because other speakers wamezungumza na nilikuwa nimezungumza hapo awali. Nilikuwa nataka tu niseme kwamba I would like we change the narrative and mindset ya kwamba what do you have, not people say what do you have during campaign, not what are you going to do for us. And that's why these politicians wanamwaga pesa, aspirants wanamwaga pesa wakati wa campaign, unaongwa then anataka kuja kurecover zile pesa ambazo alitumia wakati wa campaign. Ndiposa I would like we create an environment where youth can be given a room and get a chance to glitch into different political positions in our country. We want to do away with this bribery, election bribery, ambaye imekuwa kidonda sugu sana katika uongozi wetu. I would like we have these seats to not be favorable and attractive anymore for those who want to enrich themselves or to serve their selfish interests. Unaona sahi wanasiasa hata unapata sitataja jina ama majina, unapata nomination
Ala, Frema. Your network, baba. Frema, umerudi?
Unanisikia?
Nakusikia network yako inakatakata ndugu yangu. I think you'll have to refresh after you finish this so that you can talk well.
Let me wrap up. So I was saying unapata vijana ama watu wenye ni friends to godfathers or kingpins and all that determinants kwa chama ndio wanapewa fursa kwa MCAs. Ndiposa unapata tuko na nominated politicians hawajui kazi ya kufanya. They were supposed to represent us youth in parliament, lakini kazi yao tu ni kuzurura from one place to another, kupiga mapicha and doing all those stuff which doesn't relate at all na chenye wanastahili kutufanyia. So vijana wenzangu, I'm aspiring actually politician, but not now, maybe in the next 10 years. Yeah. So when we have created ile environment, ilikuwa nasema conducive environment for we to be chosen, because hii siasa lazima ukuwe na pesa, vile unani amezungumza. This guy he was contesting for a parliamentary seat somewhere, sijui ile alisema Nairobi ama kule Nyanza. Amesema mambo, ametacha about pesa na pia kukampeniwa na viongozi, na hiyo ina disadvantage wa candidature kama una pesa ama una mtu mkubwa mwenye anaweza kusaidia. So nataka tubadilishe haya maneno so that at least pia sisi vijana, sababu the moment sisi vijana tukipata fursa ya kuongoza, at least tutakuwa na change. Na pia kama tunge
Frema, I think I'm going to come back to you later bwana. Yako hiyo. Yako ni serious. It's crazy. Hey.
You are listening to Home Run with Pipi. Weekdays from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're tuned into Home Run with PP, of course. Happens each and every day from 4 p.m. all the way to 9 p.m. East African time. And of course, today on Tuesdays, we are here on State of the Nation. Today, I'm listening to leaders who plan to be leaders when the time comes, so that we can hear what is exactly in the market for us as Kenyans. So I've listened from MPs, aspirants, and of course, MCA aspirants. I also see Bonia, who is also a governor aspirant, who I'm going to let talk to us right now. Leo is an exceptional day because normally on Home Run with people, we are very intolerant of politicians. But today we are letting anybody who has political aspirations to come and talk to us and tell us, ameona kitu gani anaweza fanya better and different for his people. So that is what you are doing here. And of course, Home Run with PP is 100% supported by you, the listener. If you like what I'm doing, there's a tip jar line, 0721948229. That is the number that you send in your support to help us keep this studio running. I see Bonnie, you're back. Bonnie, can you hear me?
I can hear you. How are you?
I'm fine. So talk to us about your aspirations for Kiambu, given that Kiambu has gone from Nyoro to who? Baba Yao to Nyoro to Kikafogo. So
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. They've had quite the check at first. So here's the thing. I tell people that bringing the changes that we all need to see, right? It's not impossible. And I say that because I've had the opportunity to live in Kenya, I've had the opportunity to live in Canada, I've had the opportunity to live in Texas.
We can't hear Bonnie.
You can hear me?
I don't know. The rest, Wycliffe, can you hear Bonnie?
Yeah, I can hear you.
So I think Okot you'll have to recycle. Continue, Bonnie.
Yeah. So the point is this. I've had the opportunity to live in our country, right? I've had the opportunity to live in places like Canada, the US. And so I know what a government that functions looks like. And I think that's what we all want for our country, right? There's a lot of apathy when you sit here and you listen to the previous speakers. You can tell people are frustrated. Some have lost hope. And so it's very difficult to actually convince people that their vote matters and that you can actually change things. I want to urge you not to give up, because if you give up, all you're doing is guaranteeing your own children the same sort of fate that you've gone through, right? That you've experienced. We need not to give up. We need to get involved. When you spend the amount of time that I do looking at how our governments are behaving with our money all across our country, you actually find out that our country does not have it's not like we don't have the resources to be able to do the things that we want to develop our country, to take care of our citizens, provide essential services. Shida yetu ni corruption, na shida yetu ni incompetence. That's the key problem. So take a look at a place like Kiambu, right? Population 2.4 million. We have 89 MCAs in that county. We take 10% of our budget and we give it to these 89 people, right? So you have a budget of 16.6 billion, almost 17, but we take 10% of the entire budget to Nopatiwa to 89. So you just think about what that means, right? If we take 10% of the budget and we give it to 89 people, that's a great injustice to the vast majority of the people that are in that county. By the way, the people that we are giving this money, that 10%, they are all by and large wealthy people. Okay, so to me, that's the first injustice that I see. Then you start looking at how the remainder of the money is spent, right? Our county governments have some of the highest salaries, some of the highest benefits. In many of these counties, if someone makes 100,000, they can expect to get 85% of that amount additional in allowances. You've heard allowances that you've never even contemplated, risk allowance, responsibility allowance, leave allowance, tuition allowance, housing allowance, extraneous allowance. These people do not understand what it means to be public servants. The idea to me of going to work in government is to be able to serve people. You're there to impact lives. You're not there. This is not an opportunity for you to go and enrich yourself. So we need people that understand that going into public office, it's an opportunity to serve people, not to enrich yourself. You're not supposed to go there and divert resources to yourself. So what I'm telling you is this: Shida yetu is not like we don't have the resources. We have resources. We need people that understand that being in public offices, it's an opportunity to serve people. You're supposed to start basically try and use your brain and your training and your expertise and your experience to be able to make intelligent decisions when you are trying to allocate these resources to make sure that you advance the public good. If you look at a place like Kiambu, for example, I just told you that you give up 10% to 89 people, you're left with 90%. Then the rest of the money, what they do? For example, they use 81 million traveling abroad, right? 81 million traveling abroad. They spend another 322 million traveling domestically. So they've spent 400 million on travel alone. Then what they do? They give about 300 million to the governor and the MCAs for cars. These numbers that I'm giving you are annual numbers. Okay, they've given another 300 million to the MCA and the governors for cars for them. Okay, they're not done. They spend another 37 million on the MCAs. Remember, I told you that they already gave them 10%. So the MCAs have a salary. They also get additional allowances just to sit there, right? We're giving them another 37 million. So when you look in totality, you see that they've spent about 730 million on just travel, on just MC allowances and and cars for the governor. Then you take a look at how much they spent on education. You hear them a lot talking about, we're spending money on education. They spent 200 million for the entire county on education. So I just told you they spent 732 million on themselves, on their cars, on travel, on MC allowances, but they only spent 200 million on bursaries for the whole county that has 2.4 million people, right? You see the injustice here? So the 730 million is spent on a very small clique of people, but they say that 200 million should be sort of divvied up all across the country that has 2.4 million. So, I mean, these things are not rocket science. These issues are not rocket science. They can be fixed very easily. You need to have someone who understands that being in public office is not an opportunity to sort of enrich yourself. You're supposed to be there and serve people. All that we require is to have people that are smart, people that are not they are not corrupt, people that are guided by the understanding that being in public office is you're supposed to be a public servant. If you just get people, Kiambu has a budget of 18 billion. That's a lot of money to impact lives. If you do not pay 86% allowances on top of hefty salaries, if you do not spend 400 million traveling on trips that don't mean anything, right? Because if you follow me and you see my reporting on the kind of trips that these guys take, they don't add any value to anybody, right? But because it's a way for these MCAs to earn money, right? Because when you're traveling, you get a per diem, right? They do that, and they're spending all their time in Dubai and Singapore and Malaysia and all these places. When they come back, there's absolutely no value to you, but they've spent 400 million, right? Why are we giving people that are already multimillionaires mansions? Why are we buying them luxury cars every year when those monies can be used to build schools, to fund hospitals, to hire extra nurses? So we don't need to invent anything. You actually don't need to be a genius to be able to make changes and impact lives in these places. You just need to be someone who is prudent enough, someone who's not an idiot, someone who can make smart prioritizing, right? That's all it takes. That's all it takes. We are spending a lot of money on nonsensical stuff in any one of these counties. um, and again, it's a culture that speaks to entitlement by our politicians. I'm looking at, for example, at spending all across our country when it comes to these counties and how they're spending your money. Every county within our republic spends about 10% on a very small clique of people. Every county has, if you take all the counties in our country together, the average county has about 47 MCAs. Okay, that's the average all across the country. In every county, the first thing that they do once the money gets to those counties is they take 10% of the money and they give it to these 47 people. That amounts to about 43 billion shillings every year that you're giving to this county assembly. I haven't talked about what money is spent on the governors and the deputy governors. I have not talked about how much they spend on travel. That's just taking 10% and giving it to the county assembly. If I'm elected to a place like that, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce expenses. I'm going to reduce salaries. You don't need, if the idea about going into public office is to be able to serve people, why do you need to be paid 12 million a year before allowances? These governors are making 12 million a year before allowances that I just told you can double the income. We don't need to be doing that. How is it that you feel entitled to a salary that's that high in places like, if you followed my or read my analysis of a place like Turkana, where Mandera, the governor there makes 12 million, the average citizen makes there 67,000 a year. So that governor is making an income that's 177 times higher than the citizens that he's supposed to be leading. What kind of nonsense is that? It's a great injustice. But again, all you need is to have people that have a different mindset, people that understand that going into public office is not an opportunity to serve yourself. If you want to make a killing, if you want to make a lot of money, go start a business or go work in the private sector, right? I don't care if you're making a billion a month in the private sector. If that's the value that your company sees in you, that's fine. But we can't expect people to do that in government, right? And so again, it's all about the people that you put into places. It's all about their priorities. Um, our countries are spending a lot of money on nonsense. Um, you know, hefty salaries, travel, right? Um, think about it this way. Kiambu, for example, I was giving you an example of how they spent your money. Over and above you paying them hefty salaries, over and above those ridiculous sounding allowances that I just told you, over and above the money that they spend on, for example, the government and the MCAs for cars, That's not enough. They spent 128 million on catering. Okay, these people that are some of the most well-paid people in that county, just giving them that much money and giving them all the money for cars and their mansion, that's not enough. They still charge you 128 million in 1 year on catering. Can you imagine how many lives can be changed by that 128 million if you just don't do that and you say, you know what, we're gonna look for kids in this county that need to go to community college or they want to go to university, we're gonna fund them. That's how you make changes, right? That's how you impact lives. And so what I would do, for example, was given that opportunity, I'm going to look to institute a 30% um, reduction in salaries. If you do not want to accept that, then you don't need to be in government. Go work in the private sector, right? Cut 30% of salaries at least. The next thing I would do is I would say, you know what? Um, over and above cutting your salaries, we're going to reduce these allowances because it doesn't make sense that devolution is supposed to bring services, supposed to bring accountability, supposed to bring development. You can't take a budget that's 18 billion and you say, we are bringing services to the government to the people, and then you find out that 75% of that money actually went to people's pockets, a small group of people. You're not serving anybody. We need to stop kidding ourselves. So reduce all these allowances that don't make any sense, free up all that money, and then start doing what the money should be doing. That money should be improving schools. It should be making sure that when you have a sick child and you take that child to your local hospital, that there's a doctor there waiting for you who's trained, right, who's well paid, that there's a nurse there waiting for you, right, that there's equipment that's required to be able to diagnose you. That's how you make these changes. Our countries have lost a lot of money in the last 10 years to corruption, right? You must have heard me talk about how much debt we have as a country. Almost 11 trillion in debt. 9 trillion of that debt was taken over the last 10 years. And so if you look at that money at a county level, right, every one of these counties have had a lot of corruption in the last 10 years. We cannot move on from where we are without seeking justice. So what I would do, for example, is I would go and essentially investigate all the contracts that were issued in the county over the last 10 years, from the time that we got this system of government, where we did not get value for our money, which I can tell you it's a vast majority of the cases where we give contracts for 400 million. Some of these firms are formed 3 or 4 months before they bid on a contract. They take that money and go. And meanwhile, we owe the loan, but we didn't get anything for it. So we cannot possibly move on without seeking prosecutions. I mean, where do we expect to be able to, what are we going to do with this 9 trillion that we took over the last 10 years, right? We need to seek prosecution. So I will look at every single contract that was issued over the last 10 years. And where we did not get value, I will absolutely seek, that we get that money back. Our country needs heroes. Our country needs people that think different. The system of government, if we just, now I'm going to step away from looking at Kiambu. I'm saying that as a country, this system of government that we have, it is not sustainable, guys. It is eating up a lot of resources. We have way too many politicians eating up too much of our resources. There is absolutely no reason for us to have 47 counties. And every one of these counties has many, many, many MCAs. Their system, even if we didn't have stealing, which we have a lot of it, this system is not sustainable. If you had zero corruption, but you have this size of government where a place like Lamu, with a population of 140,000 people, can have 19 MCAs. So you have one MCA representing 7,500 people. That's an extra cost. If you look at our country, the average cost of one MCA is about 21 million shillings. 21 million shillings. That MCA, so I just need you to think about what this means from your own county. If you have, if you come from a county, let's say, I'm going to say Kiambu, right? Kiambu, you have 89 MCAs. I just told you that the average MCA costs you 21 million. If you just reduced this number of MCAs by half, 50%, you will still have 45 MCAs, right? But you've saved close to 500 million, or actually more than that, 800 million in the case of Kiambu. That money that you bring up will go to build schools, it will go to fund doctors, it will go to make sure that if you have a child that just finished high school last year and wants to go to university, is funded to be able to go and sort of pursue a career so that they can become a productive member of society. I'm telling you this to tell you that we don't need miracles. We just need people with common sense, people that understand that being in office it's an opportunity and an honor to serve people, right? Um, so, over and above reducing costs, essentially investigating all the contracts that we've issued, seeking justice when it comes to contracts where we did not get our value, is opening up all the government business when it comes to tendering to the public on a quarterly basis, so that if we issued X number of contracts, the people of that county can come and satisfy themselves that every law that was supposed to be followed was followed. And this is important because we want a country where there are equal opportunities, right? If you're a small business person and let's say you run a hardware, and you would like to do business with the county, you want to be able to know that if there is a tender that you can bid for, and you bid, we can't guarantee results, outcomes, but we can guarantee that everyone has a fair shake, right? That's the whole point. Make sure that if someone wants to do business with the county, has an equal opportunity, right? Because when these businesses do well, they're going to employ people. If there's someone who's trying to do something within the county, and they're able to sort of get the approvals that they need, if someone is bidding on a contract and they're able to get it, they're going to go and employ people. Those people are not going to be coming from other counties. So when we are fair with citizens, we are actually improving the prospects of the county. Lastly, if you guys have followed my sort of back and forth with the government of Kiambu over the last few months, you've seen that, I'm someone who lives in Texas, but I like to invest in Kenya. I like to invest in my county. I applied for an approval to be able to develop some real estate. That was November of last year. The county of Kiambu took my documents and hid them, right? It's a feature. And so I'm making calls. I actually flew to Kenya and came to Kiambu, trying to find out what's going on with this. Where are my documents? I find out that the documents were actually taken away and hidden. And the only way I was able to get those documents back is I was approached by a couple of people that work for the governor of Kiambu, who told me that those documents were, essentially confiscated and hidden. And they told me that we can help you get them back, but you're gonna need to pay some money. I asked, why do we need to do this? They said, well, there's a lady who works for the governor. She's a right-hand person for the governor. Her name is Waziri Sabome. She needs to be paid, right? I paid the ransom that they wanted, and as soon as I paid that ransom, those documents where they reappeared, right? They reappeared. I'm telling this story because it's a very sad story. Before, or as I was applying for those documents, I had started to do my development. So, I have this piece of land that I have in a place called Mogoga. I hired about 25 people to help me with clearing the land. I was putting up a perimeter wall, right? I hired these 25 people, most of them from, walking distance from that area. When I finished the development, the actual, like this pre-development process, which is, putting up the perimeter wall, clearing the land for development, those guys did such a good job for me that I wanted to actually thank them. So I threw a party for them. When I did that, these guys wanted to thank me personally because they told me that, you give us an opportunity to earn a living. We haven't had that kind of an opportunity for a long time. And in fact, a lot of them told me that they are recovering alcoholics because they just can't find any economic opportunity. They have kids, they have bills, they're not getting any opportunities. So some of them just wake up in the morning and start drinking. That opportunity to be able to work there for 3 months gave them a purpose. They gave them something to look forward to. In fact, I spoke to some of their wives who told me that, my husband, he's been a changed man the last 2 months because he wakes up, he has a place to go, he comes home, and we have food to eat. And so think about that situation that I just described. These guys asked me, can you consider us when you actually start developing? And I promised each one of them a job. And then I apply for these documents, and then they are taken out by the government and they are hidden. And it's been a year since I started that process and have not been able to do it because someone in the county government office decided that their opportunity to make money off of me is more important than those 25 people. Those 25 people have families, they have kids that are in school that need this opportunity, but they cannot get these opportunities because a few people in the governor's office decided that this is the opportunity to eat. So this is the impact. This is the context. So the people that you put into these offices make a difference. They make a difference. It's not just that someone's going to be governor. What they do when they're in office means everything, and it has direct repercussions and indirect repercussions. If you are a neighbor, right? If you're a neighbor of me, let's say there, do you want to wake up in the morning and you see, 5 or 6 of your neighbors drinking at 9 o'clock in the morning? You don't want to see that, right? Even if they are not your kids, you don't want to see that. If you are a wife and you're married to someone who's looking for an opportunity and can't find it, do you want to wake up and see your husband drinking at 9 o'clock? You don't want to see that. And if you are a child who needs to go to college, who needs to go to university, and instead of doing that, you wake up and you see your father drinking at 9 o'clock in the morning because he doesn't know, he doesn't know better or cannot get an opportunity to be able to have dignity and be able to provide for his family. This is the cost of having dumb leaders in office. It's the cost of having corrupt people in office. So do not get disappointed by what happened in the past. I think that Kenyans are waking up. We have an opportunity to make better choices. And so we need to look at the people that we are electing. And if you're from Kiambu County, you might be seeing me make an announcement in the future. I hope that you give me due consideration and give me the opportunity to serve you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Boni. Before even you go any far, I have a question for you. Okay, are you there, Boni? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Go ahead.
Anaitwa Wanjira Maina anasema kwamba I'm from Kiambu County. Okay, and while Boni's analysis sounds sober and cogent, how will he deal with MCAs that see his plan as unpopular, and by extension deal with frivolous impeachment motions because they do not like his stance? How are you going to deal with the MCAs trying to impeach you?
I think that we need wholesale changes. We cannot settle for small changes. And what I mean by that is this: the people that we have in this county governments, we need to elect people that think different. If you elect a governor that thinks different, and if you elect MCAs that think different, what's going to happen is when these people go into this government offices, in general, I mean, you never have 100% agreement, but in general, they're gonna know what's important. So that if I'm trying to serve the people, these people are going to sort of be on the side of the people. It doesn't make. We don't need miracles, right? We don't need miracles. We just need to use common sense and business sense, and be able to understand what it means to serve people, right? It's an honor to serve people. When you're making decisions that are going to impact lives, right? It's an honor, and so the response to that is we need, when you're selecting your governor, look for the qualities that I just described. People that understand what it means to be a public servant, people that are not corrupt, people that have no history of stealing from you, right? I don't have to, think about it. I'm in America, right? I don't have to live here and to come and do politics. I'm thinking about it because I'm tired of complaining. I'm tired of pointing out ills and corruption and incompetence. I want to be able to, I want to get into the business of making changes and bringing change, right? That's what I'm urging all of us to do. It's not enough to just criticize and point out. Some of us have to think that you can change the world. And that I happen to be one of those guys. We can change this. This is not like cancer, right? It's not like you wake up and you have cancer and you can't do anything about it. This situation can be changed. It can be changed, and this is the opportunity.
Asante sana Boni. Wanjira ameinua mkono juu. Wanjira, welcome to the show.
Yes, thank you, Pipi. How are you? How are you this evening?
Niko salama kabisa, nashukuru. How about you?
Okay, thank you. Pipi, thank you for the platform and specifically for this conversation today, because I think that the point is to have us, the electorate, engage with people that have political ambitions, such as Bonnie, who wants to be now my governor in Kiambu County. Bonnie, I have listened to what you have said, and a lot of it sounds very, very sober. But we have come to see that the enemy of the people is really the people they elect. And not even at the very high level, we're seeing that even just MPs can make your life impossible. And so, if we're talking about a county situation, MCAs can make our life impossible. So, when we have a governor such as yourself that has very clear ambitions, that has very, I will call them very lofty goal, very, a dream for the people of Kiambu to access services and amenities and all of that. How are you going to deal with MCAs? I think that, which is the question PP has asked you, which is, I think I've posted it somewhere on the comment section. How are you, assuming nothing changes, assuming these very MCAs that are here this term are the ones that when you come in as governor, how are you going to ensure, how are you going to deal with them? Because the sudden change of lifestyle, obviously, for them, which it sounds like is your goal, to ensure that not all the money is going to MCAs and other elected officials, while the people have very little or nothing towards their well-being. How are you going to ensure that you are not an unpopular governor? And even if you are, how are you going to deal with them? Because, like we have seen, MCAs need very little incentive to begin a motion to impeach a governor. They can very easily be swayed. They can be given very little money just to make your life a living hell. So they're going to do away with a governor that wants the very best for the people and will do it if he's given the opportunity. But because they're reaching into their pockets, which will be you now, Boniface. How are you going to deal with MCAs like that? And if how do you see yourself influencing the election of MCAs in Kiambu County? Because I'm not sure you have much say as to who the people, the different constituencies and the different wards elect. You get to deal with them at the county assembly. What is your way forward? What is your strategy?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, you
Yes, I
can.
can.
Awesome.
Okay.
So those are great questions. I have two responses for you. The first one is the simplest, which is you do things not because they're easy, right? Nobody is saying that this is going to be an easy thing to do. To bring the kind of change that we want is not going to be easy. I'm not naive. But it doesn't mean that we don't try, because what is our option? So we sit here and say, well, you're going to get elected, and, these MCAs that are corrupt, they're going to impeach you, right? So then what do we do from, with that? We just sit down and sort of give up. We can't do that. So I love to do things that are hard, because they bring a lot of satisfaction. So I know it's not going to be easy. That's fine. That's fine. If you look at my life, it's been all about doing things that are difficult, right? My personal story is one of overcoming odds, right? We don't have to get into it right now, but I can tell you that what I've done with my life is about overcoming odds, coming from a place like Kenya, from a very humble background, succeeding in America, attending some of the best